hurry to discount it, because you never know when, as I said, modern science will start to validate that, or through your own life experiences, you may learn that maybe what they were saying wasn't as far out as you thought it was. Okay, so the throat chakra. As I've talked about in our other programs, our chakra systems have a physical aspect and an energetic or an emotional aspect as well. So with our throat chakra, just like the other ones, the physical aspect, if you sort of draw a horizontal physical line, if you will, or area around your body, kind of roughly speaking, that's how the physical aspects is related to that. So our throat chakra is related to shoulders and to our throat. Now, the interesting aspect of this is the energetic, emotional, psychological aspect of it, which relates to some of the things that I talked about at the beginning of the show. The throat chakra deals with communication. The desire, and I will even go so far as to say the need to communicate. The need to be able to express ourselves. And the throat chakra is the seat or the conduit of creativity. The other interesting thing about our throat chakra, and I actually learned this from a Carolyn Mace video I was watching when she talked about our throat chakra being the power to choose, the power to speak out. And that is so very important. I'm going to get on a little bit of I'm going to get my little soapbox out. And I actually talked about this with our meditation group this last Wednesday. It actually just kind of another sort of sidebar programming note. We are going to try broadcasting our meditation gatherings live on Blog Talk Radio. So Wednesday at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we will go on air, and we're going to give it a go at broadcasting our meditation gathering. So this is a little bit of an experiment. We will see how it goes, but I believe it's going to work out. It's going to work out great. I think so. So the ability to speak out. And so what I talked about was, I tell you, lately it seems like every time I turn around, or every time I pick up a newspaper, or every time I turn on the radio, I'm hearing or seeing that, you know what, the world's going to end tomorrow. And there's all this, economic catastrophes and global meltdowns and different things like this. And, I can remember, I don't know how, a couple, 3 months ago or whatever, when it was first kind of breaking through the surface of our awareness, looking at the headlines in the paper. And the headline said, like stock market, worst drop in history, and economic disaster, and all those very energetically impactful words that those newspapers were communicating to us. And here's where the power of communicating is, and the power of speaking out, and the power of choice is. They were setting that tone, and it never failed. They would pick a picture of somebody that just walked in terrible distress, Sooner or later it will end in yes, that is true, Candace. Sooner or later. And I'll touch on that just a little bit here. And they pick a picture of a guy that he just looked like he's in awful pain. He got his head in his hands and all this stuff. And I can't help but wondering actually where that picture was taken, But they kind of just, I almost hate to use the words, but I will use the words. It's almost kind of like fear-mongering, right? And so then people start talking about it. And they're talking, and they're talking, and they're talking, and they're talking to their friends, and the radio talk shows that are talking about it, and that type of thing. And what happens is there's great power in speaking out. There's great power in choosing what we are going to say, how we are going to communicate. And there's also greater power in many people joined together with a common purpose, regardless of what the purpose is. And so, and this is kind of the challenge, if you will, I put forward to my meditation folks is, let us be the ones that go against the tide. Because what happens is people are hearing this, they're believing it. And now don't get me wrong, and I'm by no means an economist, but I realize there's some very challenging times ahead. And I understand that. And I think it's important that we're aware of that. We're not just oblivious to it. But we can choose what we will focus on. And I think it's people like us, and I use the term people that have awakened, yes, that's the right term for it, to stand up and choose what we will focus on, and to choose our words, and to choose our speech, because there's so much power in our words. And you know what? And this is interesting too, is there are many, 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 many people who in these times, this is like a bonanza. There's tremendous opportunity for them to make profitable income and whatnot on these times. But they're choosing they're choosing what their focus is, and they're choosing where they're going to go, and they're choosing what they're going to look at. And so I believe that it's important that we do that. And so I give the challenge to all those that are listening live and to those that are listening to the archive. You be the one that's different. You be the one that's different. There's no end to work to be done, and therefore no end to money for me. There you go, Candace. Absolutely. It's, in these times, look for the opportunities, because there will be opportunities presented. They're there. We just need to look for them. But if we're too busy telling everyone else how the world's going to end tomorrow, we're going to trip over them and not see them. Our throat chakra, try to get back to the topic of the show. Our throat chakra, the power of communication. Okay. I've talked a little bit last week about the manifestation ladder. That actually might be the next show after I've done the chakra series. And the throat is so important. Once we take a dream, take something from inspiration, and it comes in through our crown chakra. So our crown chakra is the point of inspiration. And then as we become aware of that inspiration, that happens in our brow chakra. And then as we start to kind of entertain those thoughts, and that's why choosing what we will think about is so powerful, and what we attach our emotions to. That's a topic for another show. As we give energy to that, it comes to this point where we're ready to speak it out. And that's so powerful. And the flip side to that is it's so traumatic when that power to choose is taken away from us. And I talked about a little bit earlier how the psychological aspect of our throat chakra is the ability to communicate and the ability to be heard. And when you think about it, how many people, and actually I'm one of them, where it's very common for me to have very sore shoulder muscles and whatnot. And how many people do when they have shoulder issues and different things like that? Now remember, that's in this physical band that relates to our throat chakra. Throat chakra is communication. I teach my Reiki folks, and this is kind of an interesting aspect of the energetic makeup of our chakras. I think oftentimes we think, okay, if the energy is lower in any given area, so let's say if the energy is lower in your throat chakra, well, then there must be something wrong, right? And that's not necessarily the case, because our energetic systems are no different than let's say, our musculature systems. And so if we're using our muscles, so let's say we're working all day, by the end of the day, our muscles are going to be tired, and they're maybe going to be sore and different things like that. Now, does that mean there's anything wrong? No. It just means that we've used them a lot. And so we rest up a little bit and kind of do whatever, our muscles recoup, and away we go again. It's the same thing with our throat chakra. So for instance, when I'm teaching, especially like a 2-day event or something like that, if you measured the energy in my throat chakra, you would find it to be low. Now, does that mean there's something wrong? No. I've just been using it quite a bit, And so the energy level is going to be decreased for a little bit. So I rest it up, maybe run a little energy treatment on it, that type of thing. What happens? The energy rebuilds, and I'm good to go. One of the areas that can